Welcome to the Operate Intelligently podcast, the podcast for all things operations. Hello, Operate Intelligently listeners. This is Joshua Peach, and I am in beautiful Brighton, Massachusetts, with an old dude friend, Eric Foellmer. Eric, welcome, or thank you for welcoming me to your office.
Hey, thanks, Josh. It's really good to see you. I've missed you and my former dude colleagues quite a bit, so this is a great opportunity and an honor for me to be on the other side of this microphone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a little backstory, Eric. You actually kind of rebranded the Operate Intelligently podcast, or we monikered the new title of it, and you were instrumental in helping get this thing kind of going a few years ago. And then, you've taken on another role, which is real exciting, we're going to talk about. And I'm glad we've been able to stay in contact. So
definitely, and I'm very glad that it is in such capable hands now between you and Grace. So that's, you guys are really doing a great job kind of taking it over and taking it to the next level. Really.
Yeah. It's all Grace. She is the best director extraordinaire and editor and everything. I can't say enough about what she does and makes this thing pop. So you're at a company now which is XL, and that's the letter X, the letter L, and you do something really, really cool. I find really cool. So tell us a little bit about XL. Where did it come from? What is it today, and where's it going tomorrow?
Sure, absolutely. So XL, or XL Fleet, as we're kind of known in the industry, is we are a vehicle electrification company. So we make an add-on technology that turns standard gas-powered commercial fleet trucks into hybrid and plug-in hybrid versions of those vehicles. So we don't make the vehicles themselves. We add on to existing vehicles that fleet managers are already buying, already using in the day-to-day operation of their jobs, and we electrify them. So we create a system that bolts onto those vehicles and can actually increase fuel economy by 25 to 50%, depending on the vehicle and the system, and reduce emissions by up to a third. So we effectively take, some of the heaviest polluting vehicles on the road, which are the commercial trucks, the bigger, the real gas and diesel guzzling engines, and we add a system on it that helps to propel those vehicles forward using electrical power, and really cuts down on the amount of gas that has been used and the amount of CO2 emissions that are emitted into the atmosphere. So we were founded about 10 years ago by several MIT grads. So they were very into the energy space, saw an opportunity at the time because nobody was doing fleet electrification. There had been some trial and error early on. A lot of the OEMs, you figure, electrification is really kind of just taking off now at the consumer level, but at the commercial level, it's a fairly immature market right now, and you can imagine what it was 10 years ago. So XL really grew up in that ecosystem and really just sort of forged a name for ourselves. We were founded as XL Hybrids because we exclusively make the hybrid vehicle systems, and now we've expanded to a plug-in hybrid electric solution as well. So we broaden the brand a little bit to be more XL or XL Fleet, to really capture not only that, but the telematics that are involved in a vehicle as well, all the data that gets tracked over that time. So we've really grown as a company over that time, over the last 10 years. And in celebrating our 10-year anniversary this past year, we also celebrated over 100 million customer miles on the road, who have collectively reduced their gasoline consumption by 2 million gallons of gas and over 20,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions from the atmosphere. So we're pretty proud of those metrics, and we continue to sell into fleet managers who really value and prioritize sustainability in their operations.
Yeah, that little 100 million mile, like when you think about, I think it was a social studies or a science class that said the circumference of the Earth is 25,000 miles. That's a lot of drives around the world that you guys are doing with these trucks and vehicles and jail vans. Like that, that you do guys cater to that. That was one of the vehicles that I saw, which was a prisoner van. But that's really kind of just such a neat. Just to think about the idea of it, that this is really in its infancy for people to be thinking outside about the fleets, and let's try to improve we're always looking to improve our gas mileage, but 25%, 50%, that's significant. And you're right, those trucks and those heavy vehicles, I got a big Dodge pickup truck. If I could increase my gas mileage by 50%, all day long, I should be thinking about that. I love my truck. I love the useful of it, the utility part of it, the ability to carry all of the racks and everything. So, somebody's let's do just now that I'm thinking about it, I got my truck, and let's say I've got 5 of them. I've got an HVAC company, or I'm part of a team of facility folks at a school or a manufacturing facility or something. I need 5 vans or 5 trucks. Like, they don't come here. There's not, you don't have like a dealer lot or anything. How does that look like? What does that process look like?
Well, so it's a very similar process to how they buy their fleet vehicles usually. So we partner with Ford, GM, and Isuzu on upfitting their trucks. So they can go to a dealer, any Ford or GM dealer that they're currently buying Ford Transit vans, F-250s, GM passenger vans, cargo vans, strip chassis, anything that they normally buy in their current operation today, they can, provided it's a fit for our system, can order through the same dealers that they're buying their vehicles from today. They can just have our kit installed and order as part of their add-on process. So in the fleet world, there really isn't much off-the-shelf purchasing. Fleets really do customize their vehicles substantially. So as part of that customization, whether they're adding a specific box on the back of a chassis, or whether they are adding additional tool capacity or ladder racks, what have you, in the daily operation of their job, they're checking a lot of boxes when they spec that vehicle out. Mm-hmm. So our system just gets added onto that process and spec'd into that order, and then it gets delivered to them with all of the other accessories that they have ordered, plus our hybrid or plug-in hybrid system bolted onto the vehicle as well. So it just becomes a hybrid truck, and it gets delivered to them brand new, as it would have been even if it was a standard gas-powered engine. And the best thing is we don't disrupt the OEM factory warranties. So all of the service and all of the maintenance that they are accustomed to doing on those vehicles, they can continue to do, and our system doesn't disrupt that at all operationally from a maintenance perspective. And then certainly, you get the residual benefits of, you're getting more gas mileage out of the vehicle. You're reducing your greenhouse gas emissions. You have a hybrid sticker on the back of your truck. If you're a municipality and I'm driving around the neighborhoods where your constituents live every day, and that's a great sort of testament to a township or a state government that they are investing in cleaner, greener transportation for their constituents. So, there's a lot of value in sort of the sustainability angle, and I think that's really what's driven our business and what is compelling our business forward, even over the next 10 years. There's a lot more emphasis around sustainability, even more so than the fuel economy. Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for a way to get inspired about your work as a facility or operations professional? Join us at our annual Maintenance and Operations Conference, Dude University in Raleigh, North Carolina, May 3rd through the 6th, 2020. You'll be able to attend educational sessions about your day-to-day work, meet professionals from across the country that work in your and other industries, and enjoy food, friends, and fun in the Dude's hometown. Learn more and register at university.dudesolutions.com. So I didn't go to MIT, and I really wish I could have, but I definitely don't have the wherewithal or the know-how on how to even start with a hybrid system. And when I came here, you were saying, which you've said here, which is a hybrid or hybrid plug-in. And I got educated on the difference, and I think that it's important. I think some folks don't know. I think that some folks that are listening are probably like, oh, great, another, place I got to go plug my vehicle into, like we see the Tesla stations all over the place. It's just another aggravation. Or if I go to bed at night and I forget to plug it in, or at the shop, because you can't take the vehicle home, I'm going to have a dead battery or it's not going to run. Run through the differences between the hybrid and the hybrid plug-in, and again, just reiterating that this isn't taking the gas motor out, because that's what I came here and I've been following along, and I thought that was kind of what you guys, a big part of what you guys did, and it has nothing to do with that. So if you could give a little more insight on that.
Sure. No, it's a great question and a great distinction. If you think about the relative charging maturity or the level of charging infrastructure that exists in most cities, it's really not sustainable for a large scale all electric fleet, either at the consumer level or certainly the commercial level, right? So there are some limitations around battery cost and charging maturity, et cetera, for all electric vehicles right now, which is really kind of the biggest impediment for those vehicles becoming adopted in wide scale. If all things being equal, there would be a huge demand for electric vehicles, both commercially and at the consumer level. But there are obstacles, there are challenges in place right now that are preventing the wide scale adoption of those vehicles. So as those issues continue to get solved, and we're certainly headed in that direction, and we as a business want to head to that direction. But the reality is today, commercial and municipal fleets are somewhat reliant upon that infrastructure and the cost of the systems that they are driving around every day. So our systems, let's start with the distinction between the hybrids and the plug-ins, as opposed to a battery electric vehicle, which has no other source of propulsion. It's exclusively electrical power. So as you said, if you forget to charge it, right, if you drive outside the range of that vehicle, you could get stuck somewhere. If you'd be hunting around looking for a charging station, you could be in a tough spot. The advantage with our vehicles, because we never take over the full propulsion of the vehicle, they're still gas-powered engines. We simply supplement the power that they already give that vehicle and help to propel it forward during the acceleration process. So during the least efficient drive cycles of that vehicle, we have an electric motor that we install on the drive shaft that propels the vehicle forward as the driver is accelerating. So it takes less work by the engine, burns less gas, and is really just a supplemental source of power that helps push the vehicles forward. Mm-hmm. So the big difference in our systems between the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid, all of that power is generated natively through the system. They never have to plug in. If they have no infrastructure in their shop, it's a great solution because you're going to get that 25% MPG improvement without having to do a thing operationally. Your drivers are out driving around. People ask what the range is. I say, well, the range is a tank of gas plus 25%, basically. Mm-hmm. Yep. There are variables to that, but that's the way you kind of look at it. They're not going to get stuck. They're not going to run out of power unless they run out of gas. So the infrastructure is there to support that out there. There's always a gas station for them to be able to fill up at. In the plug-in hybrid, it's a bigger battery pack, and we have that same process where we're giving an electric assist during acceleration and recharging the battery through regenerative braking, which is actually how the hybrid system gets its power exclusively. Mm-hmm. So every time you hit the brake, it's generating power, storing it in the battery pack. Every time you hit the accelerator, it is using that power to propel the vehicle forward. The plug-in hybrid is designed exactly the same way. It does the exact same thing. The difference is you supplement that power, that regenerative braking energy that is created, by plugging the vehicle in every night. And when you do that, you have a larger battery capacity. You are extending the time period where our system is in play during acceleration. So it's a longer assist.
A longer cycle, yeah.
Exactly. So now you're getting up to a 50% MPG improvement and a third reduction in emissions versus the 20-25% relatively on the hybrid side. So it's a little bit of a bigger upfront cost, but you're getting a bigger sustainability value and more significant fuel economy value moving forward.
And what do you see, or what do you think the future of? You think that the hybrid is the? I mean, you know what is today, but do you think the hybrid is going to be the way to go that people are going to naturally go to and stay with, or do you think this plug-in unit is going to pick up based on interest and that added 25%, and then the what's next of it all? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so it's great because we market it and sell it to the same types of companies. It really depends on what your current infrastructure is and what makes sense for your fleet. So, for example, there are very small shops and even some bigger shops, some fleets that use our hybrid system that don't have, they don't have access to, charging infrastructures, and they won't for many years. Hybrid systems are an ideal fit for them because they want to improve their sustainability. They want to get better MPG. They want to get better fuel economy. They want to reduce their operational costs in that way. So the hybrid system makes absolute sense for those folks. For the plug-in hybrid side, you're dealing with a little bit more of an infrastructure. Maybe you've got a business or you've got a municipality that has some access to charging infrastructure, level 2 chargers that can have some capacity to plug in some vehicles overnight, but they don't want to be limited by exclusively running vehicles on electric power and worried about, well, what if our driver does not plug it in at night? Then that vehicle's down all day the next day. And with our systems, you don't have to worry about that. So the way that I always sort of informally, casually characterize it is, the plug-in hybrid is sort of that stepping stone to get fleets used to plugging in their vehicles, to get drivers used to plugging in their vehicles, until such time as all electric is more pervasive and we've got a better infrastructure in place and we've got lower costs of those systems to make them more compatible at a broad scale. So when that happens, the fleets that are adopting the plug-in hybrids right now are able to sort of get ahead of that curve, and they're sort of getting their drivers used to that. But for the foreseeable future, for the next decade, hybrids absolutely are going to continue to be the lion's share of the electrification space because of the minimal to no disruption in their operations. And that today is cool. There's no added steps and really no added cost beyond the upfront cost of the system.
Yeah, so I was going to say, it's not like I get the plug-in hybrid and I just get an extension cord out of the closet and plug it in. You need to have a pretty heavy-duty load to plug it into.
Well, actually, so in a best-case scenario, you've got a level 2 charger because you're going to be able to charge the vehicle a little bit faster. That way, it's like a 4-hour charge on a level 2 plug that you see. If you see a charger at a grocery store or at a business, that's typically a level 2 charger. So that
they're all the same for those?
Effectively, there are some, the Teslas of the world who make proprietary charging mechanisms that the interfaces for their chargers are a little bit different. But by and large, on the commercial level, everybody tries to make it standard because that's just going to help everybody in the long run. But with our systems, you can actually do what you just described, is plug it into the wall. We'll give you an adapter that has a level 2 charging port on what goes into the vehicle and a 220 amp electrical outlet that you can just plug into your wall jack. Now, it takes longer to charge the vehicle. It's more like a 12-hour charge versus a 4-hour, but you can get it done that way, and you don't absolutely have to have that infrastructure. But typically our customers will have some level of infrastructure for that. But like I said, you don't need it, and you can plug it into the wall. If you get home at night and want to just plug it into your outlet in your garage, you can certainly do that.
Yeah.
So we give you that option.
Curious question. May or may not know the answer to this, but it just popped in my head. And that's what happens in life, just random thoughts. Does this work? So you get a plug-in, and this might be my MIT creative brain genius here, but a lot of our people are in cold climates. Would this tie into an engine block heater like you're charging your battery, would it also be able to tie into an engine block heater?
Yeah, so there's a great application longer term that is, we call that exportable power. So, one of the big limitations of really hybrid, plug-in hybrid in general is if you're idling. So a lot of our customers, commercial customers, if you think about a power company that is doing work on, a utility line, and they're parked there for several hours. It's the middle of winter. Of course, they have to run their heating system. So today you have to run the engine in order to drive that system. So the ability to draw supplemental power to run your HVAC system without running the engine is really kind of the holy grail of where technology-wise, like companies like us and other partners that we could potentially work with are moving towards to really help fleets cut down on the amount of idling. Because if a big class 6, 7, 8 truck is sitting on your street idling, it's emitting CO2. It's probably pumping out some stinky fumes, and it's not really making the people who are in the area very happy. If you can eliminate that, because our system isn't taking over, our system isn't doing anything in that respect, because we only control what happens when you accelerate the vehicle. So if you're idling, there's really nothing that we can do, or really any other plug-in hybrid system, right? So that is really kind of where we are headed and where the industry is headed to help overcome some of the supplemental or exportable power, which will give people that power to run HVAC systems or plug in drills or power equipment on a job site, that sort of thing. So that's definitely where a lot of the industry is kind of looking at right now, is how do we take that next step, and that's certainly one of the frontiers that we're pursuing.
Yeah, that as you're saying it, I'm just sitting here saying there's more communities that I go to that have no idling laws, which I mean, no one ever paid attention to that. Right. But I mean, my son, when he was in second grade and I would drive him to school, there was a sign that says no idling. A lot of people don't pay attention to it, right. But I'm sure that there's going to be tickets being given out, and there's going to be environmentalists that fight that and show that, and I think that it would only show, for you guys, I'm not telling you where to sell to, but I mean, utility companies, like, you're right, they're doing details, they're doing work, they're working on the poles, the municipal police vehicles that are required to do the details, that are in the dead of winter, that they're sitting in the car and keeping it running to stay warm. If there's a way to do that, what a great problem solved. Yeah. And not compromising, the people's ability to stay warm or stay cool in these really extreme weather conditions. I didn't even think about that. That's great. Yeah,
definitely. And it's funny you mentioned utilities. That's actually one of our biggest market segments, and particularly electrical utilities, for the simple fact that they own the grid, right? So they have the access. They are the charging.
They get a good deal. They get a good deal on the fuel.
Exactly. So it's no issue for them to be plugging in vehicles at night. So that's probably the market that adopts our plug-in units more prevalently right now than anyone else. So they're definitely the early adopters of that technology. But you're right. To really solve the idling problem on the job site, will add huge value to just our general push towards sustainability. And as companies really draw the line in how they affect their carbon footprint, that's one place that they're all going to have to look sooner rather than later.
Well, it's a game changer, because you said earlier 100 million miles driven. Right. If you take the impact of idling and add that into the mix, because that's gallons of gas going away, that's wear and tear. There was just a study done on vehicles. They're saying that us in New England, cold day or even a hot day, we get extreme weather. We go out, we start the car, we let it run for 15 minutes and idle. And they're saying now that actually doesn't lube and do all the things that it's supposed to, that we've been thought of forever. Yeah. It actually produces more wear and tear on the vehicle and can actually draw back the life cycle. So you can actually extend the vehicle's motor. You can extend the time that you have with it, cut down on the gas consumption. I mean, it's
Sure.
I'm sitting here. I owned a spring water delivery business. I don't know if you knew this, but in the 90s and early 2000s with my dad, we drove water trucks and water vans and delivered 5-gallon bottles, actually right down the street from where we're at. And all of this stuff, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, if this was around in the 90s and 2000s, because we'd sit in the summertime in downtown Boston, even in the late 90s, early 2000s, most loading docks have a no idle policy. You can't just sit there because your fumes are going in the loading dock. They're going into the building. So this is fantastic stuff. I mean, you guys are onto something. I'm glad I had this idea to come out here and check this stuff out.
Yeah, definitely.
So people want to get a hold of you or want to talk to you, learn more about what you do. How do they do that? How do they get one of these systems, or where should they be following you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're everywhere on social media. Our website is xlfleet.com. And, if you want to send us an email, it's info@xlfleet.com. But we're on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you're a commercial fleet or a municipal fleet, if you are a fleet manager who buys, volumes of vehicles that you use commercially, the chances are, and certainly if you use a GM or Ford vehicle as part of that process, everywhere from light duty all the way up to the mid and heavy duty stuff, chances are we have a vehicle for you. So there's a full list of the vehicles that we're compatible with on our website. And you can certainly follow us there, and we're putting out new information all the time. And we've got some big announcements coming up this year. So if you want to, keep your eyes on us, there's some new platforms that we're coming out with this year that'll be pretty exciting.
And you're on social media on LinkedIn?
Yes, I am as well. So my Twitter handle is Eric_Foellmer, and then I'm on LinkedIn as well. So
cool. And this is. Well, this has been a fantastic reunion. It's been a couple of years since we've actually seen each other in person, so I was glad that you're doing some amazing things and making an impact in the way we drive and how we drive and how we're going to drive in the future for our workforces. So keep up the great work and look forward to that exciting news.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Josh, and thanks to all the dudes out there too. You guys are doing some great work as well, and I've been excited to follow your progress too. So keep up the good work, and to everyone in Dude Nation, I say hello. Thank you.
We're hopefully gonna have some exciting news over the course of the year too. I know we are. We're gonna share it as we go along here, and I'm gonna go along and get in my truck and head back to my galactic headquarters on the South Shore, and that'll do it from Brighton, Massachusetts. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Operate Intelligently podcast, produced by Dude Solutions. You can reach us by emailing dspodcast@dudesolutions.com or check us out on the web at dudesolutions.com.